any rehab process, there's a couple things that I'm seeing that I smirk because it just I just can't wrap my head around these types of things. I think it's more sociology when there's so much access to just basic levels of information. And then when those basic levels of information appear to be very, very scientific, they appear to have merit, but then the end user is going the opposite way but do not provide alternate strategies. They're just doing it because there's authority and there is responsibility. So it's always a temperate thing when, hey, this is somebody's job. I would like to think that when it comes to any type of intervention of human performance, we should not be making choices that protect our job. We should be making choices that protect the welfare of the individual that's trusting us. Well, I don't know that happens all the time, but at least I understand it. So if you understand it, at least there's a chance to respect it. What I don't understand is that when there is zero, hey, the reason we're doing this, even though I know a lot of people are doing it, and I appreciate you questioning what my choices are here for you, we're going to do it this way, and here's why. And that's something that is always the most important. I also don't think it's at all responsible or appropriate to be making decisions for other individuals that impose your will, your core values or morals onto someone else. You let the person decide and give them the cost analysis of each possible decision. Obviously, if it's just incontrovertible that this is a dumb thing to do and there is no substantial value of this type of risk, well, then you just step away and be like, it's a conflict of interest, so to speak. I don't know that everybody wants to hear those terms, but you just walk away. Like if somebody isn't going to do what you want, you shouldn't be associated with somebody who's literally going to hurt themselves or hurt others. Now, the two concepts that I'm talking about here are immobilization, and then maybe call it functional immobilization, taking days off to do nothing, like literally nothing, or just do passive types of really retail, pop cultural recovery methods that are neither based on any form of evaluation or have any reason to create an adaptation that's going to actually do anything. You're just taking a day off, which probably protects the injured thing, but does nothing for anything else. And that's really ludicrous in my mind. I think there's enough information right now that especially when something is not fractured in terms of the bone, I don't know what the reason is to immobilize something in one place, whether it's a boot on your ankle, whether it's a brace on your knee, whether it's a sling on your shoulder. Those things should only be used for like public transit. Meaning if you slip on a banana peel, okay, there is something that we have as a layer of protection. Or if some piece of garbage like runs into you, then of course you have some value of protection. I think using assisted devices like crutches is a fantastic idea, particularly if it allows for as close to a normal gait strategy as possible. But if you're going to use crutches and the little wheelie just so you can get around, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Protecting the joint and somehow fostering a healing process from immobilization, I don't know what this is. There's historical information, going back to the originals, ACL protocols where individuals violated them, by hook or by crook and found that they were getting better results, to everything that you hear about early mobilization. My opinion is strong that the science of soft tissue, tendon repairs, etc., is probably ahead of what surgeons are recommending. And look, when it's general population or this is enormous long-term piece, I'm not sure you should be putting your hand in the lion's mouth all the time. And that's based on relationship with the patient. That's based on relationship with the surgeon. But it's still not what A1 best stuff is. And when you are commissioned to be in a process to create the most elite response possible, you're not in this sling very, very long for other, rehab reasons. I think we should be able to go to places where maybe the word microdosing I've heard people use in this. I don't love that term because if microdosing associates with something else that the person doesn't have a good connection with, bad idea. But how about just say, you should be moving your ankle around as long as it doesn't hurt all day. How about 10 minutes every hour? How about 5 minutes every 30 minutes? Or something along these lines. And if it doesn't hurt, I need there to be a reason as to why we shouldn't be doing it. Especially when there's an active inflammation, you have this whole world of, well, what does hurt mean? Is it pain? Look, I think when you sprain your ankle, and which is ironically none of the individuals that I am referencing here with these thoughts, but if you have a sprained ankle, you should be moving your ankle around all day. Don't try to stretch it. Don't try to push into pain. Don't bite a piece of wood just by, and if that's all you can do is just that circle, then that's what you should be doing. Or if it's a big circle going into eversion, but a small circle going into inversion so you don't further stress those lateral structures, then fine. Like, let this be your guide and do it all day and then move everywhere else. And then, to then apply similar manual therapies for what this system is showing us. This one is very particular, but if somebody has a big swollen thing, and to not even recommend to go somewhere else for basic retrograde massage, man, I don't know why we would not execute that. Now, you can't be pushing as hard as you can, but you should be pushing as hard as you're allowed in terms of the concepts of pain-free. And then you move. And then when as pain-free continues, you then can add resistance even if it's in a shortened range. I don't know why we wouldn't do those things. All this stuff kind of fits more into, little girls that do pull-ups don't sprain their ankles. There's lots of things that can be happening. Now, that's the segue into the second piece, which is, I guess we're going to just call functional immobilization, that if you do this and this, well, then we should take today off. Let's give it a rest. No, just give that segment a rest. There's other components to the system where you can continue to prep the central nervous system to be an explosive individual. But certainly you have safe and ethical training protocols that can not use the hurt thing and stimulate a significant hormonal response and stimulate a significant immune response, stimulate a significant cardiovascular response. All of those things can help anything heal faster. It's bizarre and absolute nonsense that we would not be executing this. And if there's not enough creativity and or expertise to realize how can you train someone that has a hurt limb, but has another limb and then these limbs up here, just like it was casting a shadow from one limb to the other limb, which you can reference on that leprechaun that everybody seemed to see in the Crichton section of Mobile, Alabama. I don't know what you're doing. You tell me you can't. Why can't you put your feet up on the air bike and just do this? Why can't you put a chain around somebody's neck and tell him to go for a walk so he doesn't hurt his elbow? These are things that I just, now why would you be doing that? You would be doing that to stimulate a hormonal response. You'd be doing it to stimulate an immune response. You'd be doing it to stimulate a cardiovascular response. And if the elbow happens to hurt, you went too hard, you did it wrong. All of these things can add up and you're not doing anything to the tissue. This is where I think a strength and conditioning professional who is intelligent, that is working with a team, actually has probably a better knowledge set than the PT and certainly the physician, who I'm not sure if this is not surgical, why would they even need to be involved in this? I think there's a significant danger of when you see something on MRI, and we talk about MRIs a lot, when that is going to take this long. I don't know that there's always a downside to taking longer if you are continually aggressively ramping up. If whatever the social situation demands that you should take more time, even though you're ready to come back, that's fine, as long as you keep going. So to sit around and pussyfoot around just because you know they won't get injured if they don't train hard, well, you can guarantee that. You could also make some type of suggestion that there's a high probability that they can get hurt doing anything. I mean, at some point, this is where we have to go. So I'm not against not participating in the highest level of competition. I am very much speaking out against taking complete days off just because you did a little bit one day. And that's where understanding, number one, that the training and rehab process does not always have to have a direct target of the injured tissue. You can train systemically that then has a way to find that area that can start to create a very, very robust and accelerated healing response. It's not magic. Okay. Obviously, there's tons of things that you can do locally. Oh, there's nothing you can do when there's acute swelling. Really? Well, there's a lot more that you can do than just game ready. Game ready is a really, really good thing. However, we can look at doing different types of needling. I don't think needling directly on the tissue. There's an Asian approach of even circle the dragon, which most people would learn in needling 101, whether you call it Asian or not. You have certainly frequency specific microcurrent. It's just beyond anything that I think anyone has access to. You don't even feel it as microcurrent, and again, it has significant challenges to get through the front door. But once you're in there and you do believe that this can do something, then of course there's significant research to support the result on the back end. To not be aggressive with those things, and then treating areas away from the body to facilitate some type of getting blood flow to the area and then getting lymph out. And then really managing those runways. So from a vasculature, where if there is some already existing or reactive tension through tissues that then constrict veins a little bit, which is a very normal thing that we'll see it from an osteopathic approach, then of course you could be doing those things. To suggest that you just have to sit and wait, and then all of a sudden you do feel good enough to participate in high level activity, you've done nothing to prepare yourself. So now you either have to double the time to get prepared, or you come back and there's another problem, which of course we've seen far, far too much. And it doesn't always have to be the same thing that gets injured again, but there's always a storyline that can be weaved that can never be proven. But it's really what can be proven is that you did not take every opportunity to create a more devastating and more robust machine in a safe and ethical manner. And that's there's a much bigger storyline with a lot more chapters that can be discussed as it relates to that.